They laughed before I even finished sitting down. Not a nervous laugh, not the kind people use to break the ice. This was the kind that says, "You don't belong here." The deposition room smelled like burnt coffee and old carpet, the lights buzzing overhead like they were just as annoyed to be there as I was. Across the table sat Lieutenant Ray Colton and Officer Dean Hargrove, two men who wore their badges the way bullies wear rings on their fists. Between them was a thin file with my name on it, thinner than it should have been thinner on purpose. They thought that meant something about me. It did just not what they thought. "State your name for the record," Colton said, leaning back, folding his arms, scanning me like a piece of meat he'd already decided was bad. "And take that hood off. This isn't the street." I didn't move fast. I never do when people want me to. I eased the hood back, met his eyes, and said my name, calm, steady, almost boring. That seemed to annoy him more than if I'd snapped back. Hargrove snorted, tapping his pen like he was already counting the minutes until lunch. "Speak up," he said. "We don't need slang in here." I could feel it then, that familiar pressure behind the ribs, the old instinct to shrink, to play nice to survive. I'd felt it in classrooms, traffic stops, job interviews, but this time it wasn't fear, it was patience. Because I wasn't here to survive, I was here to finish something. They were running a deposition tied to a drug raid that went sideways in Eastbridge Heights. Officially, it was chaos suspects, scattered evidence misplaced. Unofficially, a lot of cash vanished, and two cops who lived way better than their salaries suddenly got real defensive. I'd been on the corner when it happened. I saw things they didn't want on paper. That made me a problem. And in their world, problems get squeezed until they crack. Colton flipped open the file, shaking his head like he was disappointed in me personally. "No fixed address listed," he said. "Driving an old sedan with body damage. No consistent employment for years. So tell me, how do you make your money?" He smiled when he asked it like the answer was already funny. I shrugged. "Consulting. That did it." He laughed so hard he slapped the table. Water in the pitcher rippled. Hargrove leaned forward, eyes bright. "Consulting what? How to steal catalytic converters," I said. "Security. Risk management." Another wave of laughter. Colton wiped his eyes. "So you're a bouncer. Or you scare kids outside liquor stores. Same thing." I stayed quiet. Silence makes people uncomfortable when they're used to being in charge. He filled it fast. "Let's cut it straight," he said. "We know who you are. Guys like you always think you're smarter than the system. But you're not. You're just another statistic waiting to happen." There it was. Not about the case. About me. About where they'd decided I belonged. I asked evenly, "Are you going to ask about the night of the raid?" Colton's smile dropped. "I'll ask whatever I want, boy," he snapped. "I've got the badge, the pension. You've got a hoodie. You answer my questions." Hargrove added, "Why should we believe a word you say?" I leaned in just a little. "Because facts don't care what I'm wearing," he scoffed. "Facts are you're a nobody, and nobodies don't get to accuse decorated officers." That's when the door opened and their lawyer walked in late on purpose. Marissa Klein. Sharp suit, sharper eyes, the kind of confidence you buy by the hour. She glanced at me like she'd already lost interest. This him, Colton grinned. Our star witness. She sat, opened her laptop, and got straight to it. "We have statements placing you at the scene acting as a lookout. We can make that stick. But if you walk back your claim about Officer Hargrove and the duffel bag, we can all go home." I said exactly what I'd said before. That I saw Hargrove take a black bag from the suspect's trunk and put it in his personal cruiser. That he didn't log it. Hargrove slammed his fist down. "You're lying." Klein didn't even look at him. "Perjury is serious," she told me. "Given your background, it wouldn't go well for you." Colton leaned in again, voice low. "We'll find something. Warrant, unpaid support, something. We always do." For a second, I almost laughed. Instead, I said, "I don't have kids." Colton smirked. "Figures. Hard to keep a woman when you live like this." Klein shifted tactics, pulled bank records. Irregular deposits, no W-2s. Looks like unemployment or illegal income. "Which is it?" I said. "I'm paid by the case." Hargrove muttered, "Drug money." I corrected him. "Government work." The room erupted. Colton nearly choked, laughing. "Government. What are you, a snitch? A janitor with a title? Real feds wear suits." They leaned back, satisfied like they'd won. Klein closed her folder. "Last chance. Walk away, or we bury you." I checked the clock. 2:16. I'd promised I'd check in by 2:30. I sighed, reached into the inside pocket of my hoodie. Hargrove's hand flew to his holster. Hands, I moved, slow, pulled out a leather wallet, slid it across the table. Open it. Klein hesitated. When she did, her face drained like someone pulled a plug. She stared, blinked, then pushed it toward Colton without a word. He looked down, expecting a fake. What he saw stopped him cold. A federal badge and an ID. Not agent. Special agent in charge. Internal Integrity Division. My name. My picture in a suit looking exactly like the kind of man he thought existed, and I didn't. You, he whispered. I corrected him, calm as ever. Agent in charge. And as of about 10 minutes ago, you both admitted on record to witness intimidation and obstruction. Hargrove reached for his radio. I wouldn't said a voice from the corner. The court reporter stood up, pulled off her wig, set down the glasses. Special Agent Lena Park, she said. Your radios are dead. We've been recording for months. Colton's mouth hung open. I told him we'd wired the room, the cars, the lockers, that today was just to get them talking under oath. And you performed beautifully. He tried denial, then anger. Hand drifted toward his weapon. I dropped my voice. Don't. Touch it and you won't make arraignment. He froze. Then the earpiece in my ear crackled. All units execute. The sound outside changed. Doors burst open. Tactical vests, clear commands, cuffs clicking. Hargrove dropped to his knees, crying. Colton still tried to posture until he hit the wall. I shrugged out of the hoodie, pulled on the bureau jacket, clipped the badge to my belt. The walk through the bullpen was quiet in a way that felt heavy, every officer watching. I stopped in the middle and said, this precinct is now a federal crime scene. If you're clean, you've got nothing to worry about. If you're not, start thinking about lawyers. Outside cameras, neighbors, that low murmur of relief when people see power finally answer to something bigger. Later in a different room, different table, I sat across from Hargrove. No yelling, just truth. I showed him the evidence, then the transcript of Colton already trying to flip. I showed him a picture of a kid they'd locked up on planted charges. He was clean, Hargrove whispered. I slid him a pen. Then write it down. He did. For hours. The trial was fast. The tapes were brutal. Colton never stopped believing he could talk his way out. He was wrong. 30 years. Pension gone. Everything seized. Hargrove got less. Still lost time he'd never get back. The kid walked free. Records wiped. Scholarship restored. When he hugged his mom, I looked away. Some moments aren't mine to own. People ask why I went in myself, why I didn't send someone else. The truth is simple. I needed to see it up close, to know whether they were monsters or just men who'd been allowed to forget who they were supposed to protect. Monsters don't laugh when they think they're untouchable. Men do, and that makes it worse. So here's my question for you. Was the ending fair? Did one deserve mercy and the other ruin, or were they both just products of a system that rewards silence and power over decency? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them. And if you've ever been judged, dismissed, or underestimated by someone who thought they owned the room, hit subscribe. There's another story coming and you won't want to miss it.